Hello everyone and welcome to our 5th installment of the Bengal interview series. Today we sit down with Rebecca Galani, a 2015 grad who was a Spanish education major and played defensive midfield at Buffalo State. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So, we're going to talk about the education major. You have a little bit of a different experience. Can we just start like freshman year and then move our way to your senior year?
Yeah. So I originally started at Nazareth.
Right.
Just wanted to be closer to home. And so coming back to Buffalo State, I had to sit down with like my advisor before. We kind of planned out my whole year. So my freshman year was mostly like gen ed classes.
Right.
Sophomore year, I kind of had like a little midlife crisis type thing. And I was like,
midlife crisis, you're like,
yeah. I was like, I don't think I want to be a teacher anymore. There's no jobs. It was like the world scaring me that there were no jobs. So
like, where did you get the information? Like just like the news and stuff?
Yeah, the news was like, there's so many teachers unemployed, and then I was like, do I want to be unemployed? I just thought 15 steps ahead.
Sure,
I was 19, so I like vividly remember sitting down with Tom Kohler, who is now athletic director. Is that right?
Interim athletic director.
Very cool. So he sat down with me and he was like, what do we think? Are you interested in maybe communications, business, something like that? And it was just really nice to have that support from athletics, whereas also like the campus itself trying to help me figure out what I wanted to do.
How did you come to the realization that you were going to maintain your degree in Spanish?
I just knew that, it's that Bengal mentality where if the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And if I can't find a job, I'll figure something out a teaching job, whether it's moving away for a little while or whatever it might be. I was just kind of like, I love education, so I'm just going to keep going with it. So I told my advisors I was back. So then from there, they helped me finish up my gen ed classes and my core classes. So that's when I got more intense with my Spanish.
Right.
Junior year, I ended up going to Spain, study abroad, which SUNY is like the best study abroad program.
Yeah.
I just can't speak highly enough about it. Like it was, you can choose from any SUNY program. You don't have to just choose Buffalo State's. There's a whole catalog, SUNY study abroad programs. And in Spain alone probably have like 20 different options, and you can choose from any of those options. Some are half a semester, some are a full semester, J-term you can go, summer semester you can go, but I really wanted to go in the fall obviously so we could play in the spring.
For lacrosse.
Yeah, so I did all my core classes in Spain. Like I did all my Spanish classes there. So that was kind of nice to get it all done in one chunk. But of course I was still, coach at the time was still sending me workouts. I was working out in Spain, and so you never really like forget about lacrosse. Like my stick was with me.
I say, did you bring your stick?
Yeah, I did. And my host brothers, my host mother bought them like mini sticks.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we would play in the backyard together.
That experience in the classroom was probably really cool because you did your core Spanish there.
Yeah.
Probably cool to get that from actual Spanish speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And then how was like the outside of the classroom in Richmond?
It was just, it just changed my whole life. The one class I took was Architecture of Spain.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so then you walk outside and you're like, oh, I learned about that, I learned about that. And it was just a true Spaniard teaching you about architecture. Like it was very unique. So you could literally take everything you learned that day and take it home with you because it was around you. It was hard to adapt to certain cultural tendencies. I'm always on the go, so I always have like a coffee cup, a water bottle, like something like that. You don't carry to-go things in Spain. You sit down and they don't have to-go coffee.
Like what?
Yeah, so you just sit down for your coffee, you enjoy it, and when you're ready, you leave.
Wow.
So it's little things like that now I'm like, oh my God, like a to-go coffee, I'm thankful for this.
It really teaches you, maybe we should be like kind of appreciating those moments a little bit more.
And that's what I learned there too, is like they slow down, they pump the brakes. Siesta is a real thing. Like you're never in a rush. Like that's what I loved about it. So
never in a rush. Wow,
yeah.
What's that like?
That's
so cool.
I would love to go back. And that's why like all these student athletes who want to experience a new culture, do it. Just go.
And like that's one thing that I always want to tell the girls, like studying abroad if you choose and it's something you really want to do. Mm-hmm. Like I want to emphasize we really, really respect that decision just because it adds to your experience in such a positive way. You said it changed your life. Yeah.
It opened my eyes to so many different perspectives that I didn't think I once had. So.
And you can bring that to your classroom now. Yeah. Wow, that's so awesome.
And I even find myself bringing it in as a coach sometimes too on certain things. So that was really cool. And then I came home right after J term, and I did all my education classes, so that was nice. And then senior year, I kind of had a mix of both. But the hard part was obviously not being able to student teach when you're supposed to. I kind of had to just take the realization of, okay, Becky, you're going to school an extra semester.
Right.
But it's not school, it's teaching. So it felt like I was just getting up and going to work every day and kind of getting myself in that process. But it was amazing. Like, Buffalo State has so many great resources. My professors were amazing. They helped me just kind of finalize everything, get all my tests done, my classes, and I mean, Buff State just made it so smooth and so easy, especially with all between the transfer, the study abroad, the delayed semester. Like, it was just.
I was saying, let's do like a little ticker here.
Yeah.
So you transferred from Nazareth. That's one thing that most people will never do.
Yeah.
Then you go into the education major, and you possibly almost change your major.
Yeah.
You don't change your major. Then you study abroad, which again, most people don't do. So you lived in Spain for a semester.
Yeah.
And then senior year, you student taught, and you were a captain of the women's lacrosse team. You had a very, very, comprehensive experience.
Every year was something.
Yeah. So your advisors, that had to be a very strict advising process, I would assume, to make sure you graduate at least close to on time.
Right, because with the Spanish education major, you have to do your full, I think it's 30 credits, don't quote me, in Spanish, and then 30 in education, and then your 60 gen ed credits. It was very strict for me, from my class load, so.
Right, because you want to graduate on time, and one of the things that we always talk about is to make sure you're keeping in contact with your advisor. That doesn't, whatever grade level you're at, no matter what major you're at, always contact your advisor. Every student at Buffalo State is assigned an advisor, so that person is there to help guide you through your major. I'm really glad that you got to graduate at least pretty close to on time.
Yeah.
And then one other question I have, just because I'm unfamiliar with student teaching, so it's just like a natural transition from like student teaching into your actual career as a teacher, is that
Yeah,
correct?
for the most part. Like, I was very fortunate where I was in a student teaching placement where my host teacher was going on maternity leave.
Oh, okay.
So I ended student teaching on a Friday, and Monday I was back just as their normal teacher. Like a very smooth flowing transition. So
Did you feel intimidated by that at all to go in?
I was 21 and the kids were 18. So it was, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, I'm fully committed, and it's.
Did it work, the full commitment? Were they respectful and everything?
Yeah, it took, they always say when you're a new boss or something, you have to come in really strong and then you can ease up, and that's kind of what I had to do, which is hard because I'm very bubbly and I'm not very stern.
Yeah.
I like to just kind of go with the flow. Being 21, teaching 18-year-olds,
Yeah.
you kind of had to lay down the law a little bit.
Again, I'm unfamiliar with student teaching, so how does the placement part of that work?
So I was very fortunate enough to have some people reach out and be like, hey, we'd love to have you here. But if you can't find somebody who would host you, Buff State has connections with all different schools here. So I was originally supposed to go to City Honors High School.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so they have these really cool connections. You have to do one suburban placement and one city placement, I think.
Okay.
I think that's how it went. If you want them to do all the work, they'll do it for you. They'll be like, okay, Rebecca, you're going to this school and that school for session 1 and session 2.
And then now you're a Spanish teacher at the high school level at Frontier High School, which is your alma mater.
Yes.
So that's cool. How is it going back to your alma mater, kind of teaching there, and also you're the head varsity high school coach?
Yes, I am. It's really cool. I mean, I love Frontier. Between my mom, who was also a teacher, and my high school teachers, I just knew I needed to be an influence on somebody like they were on me. It's very surreal. My first year was very awkward. I was like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, and they're
Mr. Right?
Yeah. And they're like, Becky, you can call me Joe. It's time. You're 23 years old. It's time. I had very strong influences there. Two of my high school Spanish teachers I just adored. And then obviously Mize. How could you not love Mize?
Right.
I felt like myself gravitating towards, back towards Frontier. And so
It's kind of reinvesting.
Yeah. Kind of giving kids what other teachers have given me.
All right, so you're a high school Spanish teacher there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure some of the girls on your team are also in your Spanish class.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience and being able to reinvest academically in your program, and then also in your lacrosse program?
Mm-hmm. It's a very unique experience that I don't think a lot of educators get to have, and I feel very fortunate for that because you can kind of feel out how the girls are feeling based on seeing them during the day. Like they'll come in for class and you can tell like maybe they're feeling a little down today. So I can in my head be like, okay, so-and-so isn't in that great of a mood today. I'm kind of going to back off a little bit at practice. I have to build this rapport where you have to kind of respect me and my policies in the classroom, and I have to respect you as a student. And then I have to take it out to the field, and now you have to respect me as a coach, and I have to respect you as an athlete.
That sounds like a different experience for sure.
Yeah, and it's a totally different rapport you have to build with classroom versus field, but it definitely brings the program closer.
Can you talk a little bit about what you have to do, like having to move from this different professional, I mean really in the classroom is a professional environment, not that the field isn't, but you naturally let go of some of that stuff because you're just having fun as well.
Right. In the classroom it's hard. If I have 5 lacrosse girls in a class, there's probably 20 other general education students with them. So you also can't show favoritism. I have to be like very neutral. I feel like more of a parent as a coach. I help them more socially, emotionally.
A lot of mentoring.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas in the classroom, it's more like very business-like. Okay, you're here, I'm gonna teach you your lesson, you're gonna do this activity, we'll laugh, we'll tell a couple jokes, but then you're gone. Like I don't see them again the rest of the day.
Right. You see this different side of them.
Yes.
Like their individualism.
Exactly. And then you kind of, sometimes you take that and you see it in the classroom too. You're like, okay, I know she's having a rough day, like, maybe I'm just gonna let her chill in class today. And that's all about, education's all balance.
If you had to give any future incoming Bengals, current Bengals, people that want to study abroad or Spanish, education in general, one last piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to do it.
That's a great piece of advice. Just do it, take the risk.
Yep.
Thank you everyone so much for joining us for our 5th installment of our Bengal interview series. We will see you next week.
I'm about to be on a commercial.
Okay, we gotta get my notepad.
Or like on TV.
So I'm probably going to ask you to speak something in Spanish.
Please don't make me do that.
Oh, okay, you don't want to.
So
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is the hardest part for me.
I'm scared.
I know.
Run faster, run harder. She's
Why
crying.
are
Suck it up.
Yeah.
We would never say that. It was my high school Spanish teacher who also taught me Italian.
You know Italian too?
Yeah. Not a ton. Once I get carried away. I was a kid and my lacrosse girls are sitting there. They'll hold it in and then they'll go to practice like, I can't believe you yelled at him that way. And
Yeah.
it's like they like to translate coach and Trinadora, so they use that in practice. And I'm like, you can't confuse me, because the one time I did actually start yelling at them, like yelling out things in Spanish. I'm like, Rapido! And they're like, what? I'm like, faster!
What are you, like 25 now?
27.
27? Oh my god, 27! Oh my